let's get started. Well, welcome everyone. How are you tonight? Oh, I need some energy. How are you tonight? It's a beautiful night for a forum to meet and greet the candidates, so welcome. I'm Angela Wright. I am the chair of the Southside TNT Voters Task Force. And on behalf of the Southside Community Organization, this is our first of many forums that we will be holding for the candidates. So we welcome you, community neighbors. And this is a forum where it's an informational gathering for you to meet and greet the candidates. I definitely want to make clear it's not a debate just quite yet, but this is a time where you can, we'll have a Q&A at the end of, towards the end of the session. So please feel free, listen to their answers, their feedbacks, write your questions down because I'm sure they welcome you know, what you have to say, and that's what this event is about. So thank you all so much for coming. I want to welcome all of the mayoral candidates. Welcome, thank you so much for being here. Give them a round of applause. Great, thank you. Just a couple of acknowledgments. First, we want to thank the TNT Southside and all of our task force members and the people that do the work on the ground, along with the Southside community, and all of the 6 communities that make up the Southside. So we thank you so much for being here and for supporting us and attending our neighborhood monthly meetings, that you get all sorts of information and resources. So we thank you for helping to grow the Southside community organization. So another special thanks to our board delegate, Camille Copley. She is on the ground and she always helps us out and make sure these events kick off with no problem. So please give her a round of applause, Camille. She's going to kill me for that. Good job. Also want to thank, as part of the TNT Task Force, we couldn't have these events without the help of many people, the CNY Solidarity Coalition, my 2 right-hand people, Mary and Mary. So thank you so much for helping us out and manning the tables. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you. Also, my vice chair, Charles Pearsall. Is he in the house? Right here. Hi, Charles Wade. Charles is instrumental. There you guys go. Give him up. Thank you so much. Charles is our vice chair of the Voters Task Force in Education, and part of what our responsibility is of the Voters Task Force is to educate and organize the community and give you as much information on your voters' right and also information on the candidates who will ultimately represent us. So, you know, in today's time is so important. So also, if you haven't registered to vote, we have voter registration tables out there. Please register to vote. It's so very important coming up with this mayoral race and common council race. So please register in addition to additional voters educational information, okay? Also, I want to just point out to this lady, Lori Colverton. She's very important tonight. She's our timekeeper. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question, so I encourage you to be direct, to be quick. If you have to elaborate, if the community feels that it's important, I'll give you that additional time, okay? In addition, let's see what else. So just a little wrap up to get started. So like I said, the purpose of tonight is to give you information, to allow the candidates to get to know you and you get to know them, and also for them to find out what our issues is on the south side of town that ultimately not only affects our neighborhood, but the city of Syracuse as a whole. Okay? So you guys ready to get started? Okay, so let me just introduce the candidates coming down, starting from my left down to the right. We have Raymond Blackwell. Raymond? Great. Okay, yeah, we're going to skip you out. We have Alfonso Davis. Followed by Chris Fowler. Howie Hawkins. Laura Levine. Marty Masterpole. Joe Nicoletti. Ben Walsh. And last but not least, Juanita Perez Williams. Please welcome our mayoral candidate. So just to start off, we're going to allow the mayoral candidates to give a brief description We're going to give you 2 minutes to do so, okay? So the first question, opening up, is why are you running for mayor? Why are you here? Okay, so we'll start with Raymond. We'll go on down the line here. So just a quick note, every mayor will not have time to answer every question. So we specifically, with their answers that they gave back, because we sent out a questionnaire to everyone. So we kind of pinpointed, to tag each person on different issues, okay? Because if we let everyone talk, see, it's 9 people here. We'll be here all night. Out of respect for time and, okay? So just that. So have your questions ready at the end. Raymond, you have the floor.
How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? All right. I'm all right. All right. Thank you. The question was, why am I running for mayor? And it's very simple why I'm running for mayor. I'll tell you a quick anecdote. So yesterday, my godson calls me. He goes to Henniger High School, and he says, Dad, can you bring me something to eat? And my first reaction was to say, you need to pack a snack. You need to, you're 17 years old, you need to figure out what you need to do to be prepared for school. And he texted me back and he said there's no groceries in the house. That's why I'm running for mayor. Because for me to have a child in our city who's going to school hungry because there's no groceries in his house is inexcusable. And that's just one story. There are many kids who are going to school hungry. There are many kids who are hungry at the end of the month. So I believe that it's time for us to get at the root causes of the epidemic problems that we're seeing in this city. Thank you.
Candidates, I think to definitely get to know you, please state what neighborhood you live in or, a little bit more about yourself. Raymond, you want to tell me where you're from or where you reside?
I'm from Syracuse. I've lived on every side of town. I grew up on the north side. I grew up on Lodi Street. I graduated from Fowler. I currently live on the east side in the west side area.
Thank you. Alfonso? Testing.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you guys for putting this forum on. I generally like to be in the front of the room because I think it gives everyone the best opportunity. So I'm gonna put this mic down. Move to the front because it gives you an opportunity to actually see who is speaking to you. And it's hard not to know who I am because most of you in this room know me or you've seen me in this community, born and raised, 51 years young. I started out in Pioneer Homes. That's where we come from Pioneer Homes to the Bricks, from the Bricks to the South Side, from the South Side to the West Side. When my mother was murdered, we moved back down the South Side, finished, went away to college, came back on the South Side, then went to the East Side. I'm currently on the East Side and back at Nottingham High School. Why am I running for mayor of Syracuse? I've been actively involved in the political process in the city of Syracuse for 30 years. Actively involved in the Democratic process for 30 years. The only person who's probably been active longer than me is Joe Nicoletti. But this is what separates me from Joe, is that as long as I've been in the Democratic Party, I've been an activist in the community for 30 years or more, dealing with things that affect this city on a large scale, like redlining. Myself, Janice Spates, Franklin Red, dealt with issues of redlining that was targeting African Americans, particularly on the South and West Side, in terms of loans for banks, for homes, or vehicles, or just any other type of loan, business loan. That's something that Jan Spates and I worked on with Franklin Red back in like the late 80s. That's one of the reasons that I'm running for mayor. Is that access and opportunity does not exist in certain parts of the community. It just doesn't. Access and opportunity doesn't exist on a large scale. Now, I like the development that has taken place in downtown, but if you leave the rest of the area to blight and think that you're somehow gonna move your city forward in a way that is meaningful, that is going to allow your city to move forward, then you are sadly mistaken. And so what we have been dealing with and what we continue to deal with is individuals over the past 20, almost 30-something years in government in the city of Syracuse has not moved the pendulum dial swing in certain communities forward at all. And so we need a mayor. We need someone who's going to see every single resident in the city of Syracuse as not only a stakeholder, but a viable entity to the city of Syracuse. That's why I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because our young people in our schools are missing out on the best that they have to offer. I come from the Syracuse City School District. Graduated from Corcoran High School. Then I went back and taught in the Syracuse City School District. So I understand the gap that exists within the Syracuse City School District. I walked on these streets and worked on these streets all my life. And I see the divide and I see the blight that exists when you're in one area of the city and you're in another area of the city. And nothing, in my opinion, no one has really spoken to that issue in a way that allowed access to really take place. They just haven't. So when I look behind me, and with all due respect of everybody that's running, what you will get is the exact same thing that you've always gotten. And in certain communities, that's nothing. I'm running for mayor to change that.
Thank you, Alfonso. Chris? Please save your applause till the end, just so we can get through it. Thank you. Chris? Everybody wants to stand up. I like it.
Yeah. How y'all doing tonight? Thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this. It's always important for me to recognize the other candidates that are up here that put their name on the wall, who said, my ideas are worth talking about. Take the flack and all the criticism that comes with it. And for that, I say thank you as a member of this community and a citizen here in Syracuse. It's important for me to recognize that these guys up here, this is not easy, as you know. And it's important for us to realize that everyone up here cares a lot about this city, right? And the reason I'm running is two things sort of stick out. One, an experience I had, I lived in Austin, Texas for a while. Anybody ever been to Austin? Okay. Austin's one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's talked about by, basically every sort of list of a place that you want to live in. Austin finds itself on that list. So I was there, the second day I was there, I had a guy walk up to me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a random street, nothing special going on. He stopped me, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Aren't we lucky to live here? Aren't we lucky to live here?" I said, "Are you drunk?" He may have been, but he played it off pretty well. He was thoroughly excited about the prospect and the ability to live in a city that was as dynamic as Austin, Texas. And I thought to myself on that day, Syracuse, New York is no different than Austin, Texas. Syracuse, New York is no different than Denver, Colorado. Syracuse, New York is no different than Portland, Oregon. These are the places that we're losing our most prized commodity, intellectual capital and young people and people looking for a different opportunity. Alfonso, how'd you get away with that?
My mic works. Try yours again.
That's all right. So that stuck out, and forever as I started doing work in community development, and when I started Syracuse First 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I thought, how can we create that kind of dynamic where people feel really connected to the place that they live, that they are willing to stop somebody on the street. So, Syracuse has historically had an issue with cynicism, and here was how it's turned on the face when people felt connected to the community. The other thing that happened was in February, I don't know if anybody else reads everything, but 55 Plus magazine had an exit interview with David Rubin, the former dean of Newhouse. And one of the questions was, why did you get involved with so much stuff going on outside of the university? And went on and what he thought of the city and what he thought needed to happen. And there was a statement in there that was very clear to me, and it said, In the 26 years that I've lived in Syracuse, it's changed remarkably little. Think about that. Here's a guy involved with everything because of the position he's in. He's writing a column, he has a TV show, and he says in this interview, Syracuse has changed remarkably little, and because it's unwilling to face the fact that it doesn't get anything done, and it doesn't. And that's a quote. And so I thought, here is an opportunity to change that narrative, engage people, and create a shared vision where people stop you on the street and say, aren't we lucky to live here?
Thank you, Chris. Howie? And please be respectful of the timekeeper.
It was a microphone.
Right.
How's that work? I have to project my voice. My name's Howie Hawkins. I've lived right here on the south side for 25 years since I moved to Syracuse. I'm 64 years old. I went to Dartmouth College, grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the anti-war movement at the same time. I've been a carpenter, co-op organizer. Right now I unload trucks at UPS. I'm a Teamster. But above all, that whole period, I've been an organizer in movements for peace and justice, labor, the environment, and above all, for independent working class politics. Because the working people of this country don't have representation. What we want doesn't translate into public policy. So I'm running for mayor because we need a new direction. This city's headed for insolvency. If you want to know what that looks like, look at Flint, Michigan, and what happened to their water. Look at Detroit, and what happened to their schools. Look at Benton Harbor, and what happened to that community in Detroit. When the state takes over, we're the last people they care about. They just want to make sure the bills are paid with what little tax money we can pay. So we need a new direction. And what I think we need to focus on is uplifting the poor and working class of the people of this city. If we do that, the middle class people and the businesses will stay and they'll come. And that way we can move toward a sustainable shared prosperity for all of us. So I call that sustainable Syracuse. And it has three aspects. Fiscal sustainability. We need the revenues, and the rich need to pay their fair share again. We need a city income tax on residents and commuters who come to the city, got the good jobs on University Hill and downtown, leave the city, and we pay for the services they use when they're in here in the city. They need to pay their fair share. The state needs to pay for its mandates. 15% of local taxes go to pay for state programs. Our local taxes, sales of property, hit the working class the hardest. The income tax is progressive. That should pay for those state programs. And my time is up. All right, well, we'll get into this more. I got two aspects, economic sustainability and ecological sustainability. And that's a shared prosperity I think we can all benefit from if we get in a new direction.
Thank you, Howie. Laura?
Good evening, everyone. Angela, thank you to your group for having us tonight. My name is Laura Levine. I live on the east side. My husband and I live in my growing up house. I've been in the same house for 57 years, and before that I was around the corner. Syracuse is hitting the record books for all of the wrong reasons. We have the highest concentration of poverty among blacks and Hispanics of any city in the country. We had a record homicide rate. 2016, 30 people were killed on our streets. We have a low homicide solve rate. Even Architectural Digest last week just reported that Trulia cited Syracuse for being the worst city in the country for millennials. How did this happen? Syracuse is in a state of decline. It's a state of decline that's been managed for almost 2 decades. Syracuse needs to be turned around. It needs leadership. It needs a leader who can get along with everyone, who doesn't pick fights with anyone, who knows how to get results even when resources are limited. I'm a school superintendent. I have the leadership skills, I have the desire, I have the ability to lead the turnaround, and that's why I'm running for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Marty?
Thank you, and thank you everyone for having me out. I'm going to use the microphone. I don't project quite as well as maybe some of the others, but I appreciate everyone's time and for being here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marty Masterpole. I live on the west side of the city with my wife, Heather, who's a math teacher up at Corcoran High School. We have 2 young children. Michael is 11, Molly's 7. You'll commonly see us chasing Little League games or Irish dancing or whatever, wherever that path might bring us. It's some of the joys of my life, and it's also some of the reasons why I'm running for mayor. We have heard, and I fully agree with what some of the problems are in the city of Syracuse. I believe I can help solve those problems. From Howie's points about insolvency, I spent 4 years on the Syracuse Common Council, also 4 years at the Onondaga County Legislature. I was on the Sales Tax Reapportionment Committee, and but for that agreement, we could be insolvent by now. We had a major victory, and we need another one. That sales tax negotiation's up in 2020. The next mayor will have to deal with that, and I believe I have the experience to do so to keep us solvent. It was referenced about fighting with, amongst others. When you're at the legislature and there was 6 out of 19. We were out 13 Republicans, 6 Democrats. I've heard every town and village complain about the sales tax negotiation and the victory that the city received, yet it passed 19-0. That's because I have the ability to reach across party lines, negotiate appropriately, and prove to those folks what's right from right and wrong from wrong. And last and certainly not least, and it still goes along the same lines of experience, I've spent the last 6 years as the City of Syracuse auditor. And in that role, we literally look at the budget daily. We're in a financial crisis, there's no question about it, and it needs to turn, and it needs to turn quickly. We see our streets not paved as much as we'd like them. We know our streets aren't plowed as well as we'd like them, and this is not a problem specific to the South Side, it's a problem to Syracuse. I'm going to respectfully stop for questions later because my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Joe?
Can you hear me without the microphone? Yes. Right, okay. Hi, my name's Joe Nicoletti. I know a lot of you in this room. Over the years we've worked together. I have devoted my entire adult life to public service. This is my home. It has been my family's home for 5 generations, and hopefully it'll be 5 more generations of Nicoletti's. I'm running for mayor because of a lot of the same reasons everybody else says. But I would just ask you to look around the city we love and tell me if you don't understand why I'm running. We have the highest poverty rate. We have some of the worst neighborhood fabrics in the country. We have an outstanding, not outstanding, and I say that sarcastically, record of violence, gun violence. And more importantly, we have neighborhoods that need our help desperately. As mayor, I am going to take the city in a new direction. As you all know, I've served in the assembly, I've served in the city council, I've served as director of operations for the city, and I've worked on numerous campaigns and charitable organizations. And I have seen firsthand what we need to do. We need to shed our political labels. We need to forget whether we're Democrat, Republican,